I do it all. The Brezza gives me the power.
It's happened. RCB have done it. They would be delighted. They would be relieved that they've managed to pick up points at home. Rajasthan Royals, another chase that could have gone so differently if a few moments had been played better. What a game. We finally got a thriller, at least a last over finish in the IPL. And that's the kind of game that we love discussing. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timer. Now, Aaron Finch, Ambati Rayudu and Dustin Silgardo said at halftime, it should be a comfortable win for RCB. I don't think we can use that word because there were moments when we thought, gee, they're running away with this. Win predictor on ESPN Cricket Force had a rough day. Going up and down, I think as high, Dustin, as 80% after the
when they
movie over.
18 of 2 overs, 9 runs per over. So maybe it should have known better, knowing that it was Royals.
Knowing that it was Royals. Yeah, there is a lot to unpack. I don't know how you recover from that, if at all you do, if you're Rajasthan Royals. But let's just start fairly so with Josh Hazlewood. Finchy.
He just does it again. Each and every time. He doesn't bowl poorly. Even if he goes around the park a little bit, you always feel that the batsman has to play well. He doesn't give you freebies too often. And, I mean, when the pressure's on there right at the end, he bowls 2 amazing overs. He dragged RCB off the canvas then.
I know there was a time when we thought, yeah, Hazlewood, damn good new ball bowler. But, at the death, there are concerns. That's not his strength. What have you seen about Josh Hazlewood? Not just this game, but this game's highlighted. What's improved about Hazlewood, the death bowler?
Well, I think going back a couple of years, he hadn't played a huge amount of T20 cricket for such a long period of time. He played a lot of Test cricket, ODI, and the odd T20 here and there. He'd come to the IPL and probably didn't have enough time to hone in on his death bowling skills. So then you give a great bowler a good chunk of time and a good amount of rest to work on their skills and upskill and continue to develop towards the back end of the innings, his Yorkers, his slow balls, his knuckleball. Then he turns into a pretty complete bowler. So I think it's similar with the 3 Australian quicks that played so much international cricket. They just didn't have enough time to continually upskill.
There are 3 batters that you would want to get out with the way they were playing today. Jaiswal, Jurel with the way he was going, and Shimron Hetmyer every time he played Rajasthan. Hazlewood's got all 3. Has he had the biggest individual say in the result of this game, Ambati?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because they needed 18 of 2. And it's not easy to pull the game back from there and win, so easily towards the end. That wicket of Jurel was big.
Yeah,
and great review too.
Yeah, great review. And also, what's unique is he's loading up as if he's bowling a slow ball, but he's bowling those quick short of length.
Yeah, balls. You two picked up on that watching a side on replay. Tell me what you picked up on.
No, he was showing like he was bowling a slow ball. I mean, when he loads up, and then he was bowling quick. There were at least 3 or 4 balls like that where the batsmen were late.
And you could see the balls that it was too. Like they're going to try and slog it over mid-wicket and it hits the splice of the bat and just drips out to cover or mid-wicket, similar to the dismissal of Jaiswal and the dismissal of Archer at the end. It was a clinic towards the end there for RCB.
Has this been a secret for a while, or is this something that's known? And
don't know.
I mean, Stark used to do that. But this is the first time I've seen Hazlewood.
You've noticed it with Hazlewood. Many firsts today, Dustin. Why don't you tell us what was unique?
For RCB at home. It was the first time they didn't lose a wicket in the power play, which we covered in the first innings. But I think another big performer for them was Krunal, because he hadn't been that good at home this season. He'd been very good away, but his spell actually pulled things back a little bit because they were 72 or something after the power play, and then him and Suyash just choked things up. And he's got now 12 wickets this season. It's as many as any other finger spinner. And what's interesting is 5 of those are lefties, which usually you think left-arm spinners, they tend not to bowl to the lefties. Today
he has had better numbers against.
I think he's got 8.3 is his economy rate against left-arm batters. So, and I think those crucial overs there, I think there was a phase where they only got 1 boundary in about 26 balls just before Nitish Rana got out. So him and Suyash choking those middle overs also helped pull RCB back into
using the word choke a couple of times. I've noticed you don't really use it. Yeah,
I was.
Yeah,
trust you to point it out. Right?
I mean, you're a fine writer that you have all these years. I thought you'll have extended vocabulary, but I can see why you chose the word today because it's another one. I'll come to Krunal in a second, but the Royals bottled another one, haven't they?
Absolutely, they did. They got themselves into a great position, wickets in hand. required run rate under control, and then it just imploded. They went from playing a good, smart brand of cricket to then the energy going out of the game, energy going back in the game, and then all of a sudden they went from running hard between the wickets to, right, let's just get it over and done with. We'll try and hit the ball out of the park. Just get bat on ball in that situation. You know, if you beat a fielder at Bangalore, the ball flies away, so you don't need to overplay it, and they certainly did, and they ended up being 9 down in the end. Like,
I mean, what is the decisive period of play in this game, if I can ask you? Because Jaiswal got them off to such a good start. And Jurel, you thought, okay, maybe this game is now getting away, but he's played a really good innings with the outcome. So what has cost Royals this game, in spite of being in it for a large part?
I think Hetmeyer not coming up, for one, because there was a leg spinner bowling, there was a left arm spinner bowling, and you have sent Dhruv Jurel. No doubt he has batted well, but if you had Hetmeyer and his experience in the middle, he would have been set to really finish the game towards the end. He would have had that little time in the middle as well. So I thought they missed a trick there, but also towards the end, I felt Shubham Dubey, I know he's young, but you know, after an over of 22 runs, and you have taken strike, you haven't against Hazlewood, against Yash Dayal in the last over. See, that's where you know, you need to be smart, and you also need to know where you're trying to hit in the last over.
There was a period that was, I think, 18 runs of 23 balls after the burst.
Yeah, there were a lot of dot balls. I'm just looking at the stat line. Rajasthan have hit 12 sixes to RCB 6. So they've hit twice the number of sixes, 17 fours to 22 fours. So they've hit more boundaries overall, but 48 dots to RCB's 31 dots. So I think
that's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. And as you were saying, they just couldn't rotate the strike. Even when they weren't getting the boundaries, RCB were getting the ones and twos.
And also towards the end, if you look at their batsmen, they're not low enough to tackle with Yorkers. They're all too high, too upright.
Yeah.
You know, these batsmen, that's why, you know, their strike rates against the Yorkers are not great.
I mean, at the end, Dubey's got out to a full toss.
Yeah.
The kind of ball that Rinku Singh, when he
Exactly.
played Dayal
I mean,
3 years ago.
If you were slightly lower,
Yeah.
you would actually hit it into the stands.
Use the pace and help it on the way.
Yeah.
I'll give you another random number as I look at the scorecard now, but 14 wides in the first innings and just 4 in the second. Difference has been 11 runs today. But anyway, let's go back to Krunal for a little bit, because I also believe, in addition to everything Dustin said, he had not got a wicket at the Chinnaswamy this year, going at 10s. So how crucial was how he bowled today, and what do you think attributed to his success?
No, I think his change of length more than anything else, and also, you know, his idea of how to bowl in a certain situation in terms of if a new batsman has come in, especially to Hetmeyer. Hetmeyer actually went to hit one big six of him, but it was too slow and slightly further away from Hetmeyer, and then we have seen him take a single. So he has operated very smartly.
He thinks like a batter. You
Yeah,
said that I think
like a
once
batter,
before.
and he's a very smart operator. See, he has nothing special in terms of flight or anything of that sort, but he predicts what a batsman does, and he tries to, you know, do something that you're not expecting.
Of course, it's not easy for a left-arm spinner to bowl at the Chinnaswamy, as you know.
Thanks. That's twice in 2 days. I've copped it.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of also whether there was some assistance at all in the surface, because it almost looked like the way Jaiswal started, it was playing better in the second half, which further impresses us on Krunal's effort.
Yeah, it seemed to skid on a little bit more. Wasn't that extreme bounce that we saw in the first innings, particularly from Archer, who's obviously a lot taller than Bhuvi, and Yash Dayal, who took the new ball. So overall, I think just the way that, like you said, you think about the left-arm orthodox bowlers who are successful at the moment, they're defensive-minded bowlers. So you think Mitchell Santner, Krunal Pandya, they think defensive, which then becomes an attacking option, if that makes any sense to the people listening. So the ability to duck and dive around what a batter wants to do, always be one step ahead of them, is so crucial in T20 for a spinner.
I guess what you're trying to say, and I find that phrase quite unique and relevant, is that even when you're trying to avoid getting hit for a boundary, you're mixing that up with, you're thinking about how there's a possibility of a wicket here. Yeah,
it's not all just defence and trying to limit it to a one or anything like that. It's right, what is the batter trying to do? What is his body language saying? What does his patterns, the way he's batted in the past, tell you that he's going to do now? And Mitchell Santner's a genius at it. He'll bowl that ball that's 70 kilometres an hour wide outside off stump if he thinks the batter's coming at him, and then he'll fire one in to trap you on the crease. It's just similar to Krunal, that they just read batters so well.
I also want to come back to Hazlewood just for a bit because I'm just trying to process everything that's happened. This
Now
game
the
was
show's
lost.
back on track. Back to the Aussies.
Yeah, sure. And what can you tell us about Hazlewood just temperamentally when it comes to bowling death overs in IPL cricket? Because I don't think there's a huge sample size for that particular skill for Josh Hazlewood, even across his 2020 career.
He's so calm under pressure always. You'll notice a lot of bowlers, when they get under pressure towards the back end, there'll be 3 or 4 fielders crowding around them, telling them what to do, trying to calm them. He's very calm. He knows what he's trying to do. He'll understand the ball that he's trying to execute, but he'll also understand when he misses or when the batter executes. So understanding the difference in that situation is so crucial to a bowler, because you can execute perfectly and get hit for 4. But understanding that and say, you know what, I executed exactly what I was trying to do, I'm okay with that. And on the flip side, there's bowlers who will mis-execute and get a wicket or something, and they'll be happy about it. So it doesn't always match up. Josh Hazlewood's greatest strength is his mind.
When you said he upskilled in his time off, he missed the Champions Trophy as well, and I think
I was talking more over the last couple of years, where he's had
Sure.
more of an opportunity to play T20 cricket.
But I wonder, even when you brought up Fraser McGurk and said that there's very little time for these guys going from one event to the next to actually take time away and upskill. And do you sense that's also a big part, even for a player who's a bit of a veteran like Hazlewood?
100%. You can always improve. And I think that he's shown that. He's one of the guys that you would look at over a long period of time and say, he was pigeonholed as a test bowler, a one-day bowler. He's too accurate almost. He doesn't have enough tricks. You don't need a huge amount of tricks. You just need to be able to execute what you want to deliver under pressure. Nailed a wide Yorker that got the wicket, hard into the wicket. He slower balls, even the tricks of loading up slower balls and going pace on. It's just world-class bowling under pressure as well.
Let's say you were playing that Hazlewood over and you have to now think of what are your best options. With the game at 18 for 12 especially, I wonder how you would have played it or like to have seen the batter play it.
I think, try and take 6 singles. It's as simple as that. Everybody is on the line and you would eventually, maybe get a boundary and you would end up with 8 of the last over. See, that's how you need to be smart, because your last over is not your best bowler who's going to come and bowl. So I felt they missed that little bit of experience there.
Just bat on ball.
Would you call the Jurel wicket a little unfortunate for Jurel though? I mean, you normally miss those more often than get one of the inner half of the back of the bat.
Yeah, I think it's slightly unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate.
Brilliant review.
Great review.
Got to give it. They've kept their cool, RCB, haven't they? With all the odds going against them, Patidar the captain, choice of bowlers. Do you sense we saw something?
Yeah, and because when Hazlewood didn't open the bowling, I think a lot of people were saying, oh, they're missing a trick.
Yeah, we were one of those.
Yeah, but they've been doing that with Hazlewood throughout, and the reason is they feel they need him at the death, because they've got Bhuvi and Yash Dayal who are better in the power play. So they've actually been kind of regularly, since Bhuvneshwar's come into the side, bowling Hazlewood only one at the back end of the power play, sometimes one in the middle, and keeping him for the death. And clearly today they had that instinct that, okay, it might come down to, 40 of 4 or 18 of 2, and they would need him there.
But I remember Hazlewood bowling in the death when he played with us
at CSK.
Yeah,
right.
He bowled really well. And I think he was in the winning side as well in 2021.
I think so, yeah.
2021. He bowled a lot of death bowling that year.
I mean, I wonder if he got a great surface as well. That was in the UAE, where little more assistance with the bounce, etc.
Little more bounce, spongy bounce.
Like when he came on after the first few overs of Bhuvi and Yash Dayal, it looked like Archer had found a match on this surface, and there were balls that were flying past over here. What kind of surface was this today, to be honest? I'm still confused.
So am I.
Yeah, because actually, I think one thing we missed in the first innings was that Hasaranga had bowled his 4 overs for 30.
Yeah.
And Parag had bowled 3 overs for 30. So the spinners, we were talking about how fast a wicket looked, but the spinners actually did okay for RR.
Krunal and Suyash have gone 31.
Done really well for RCB.
No, that's because there was a lot more bounce than anybody expected on that surface.
Well, and that was highlighted by the amount of balls that flew over sort of first or second slip or over the keeper's head. There was a lot of runs down there. And even just a small part. We were watching it unfold, and we all said, you've got to have a third man really fine for Hasaranga, because he gives himself some room, tries to go offside. So the last ball of the over goes down over second slip. There's a fielder there, they don't get a run. So that was you who was calling for that as well. So
I'm not looking for credit.
And also field placements on a surface that offered a lot of bounce.
They changed.
I think Patidar is just impressed. Simple. A lot of first-time captains, Akshar Patel, Patidar, they've been very good this season.
And they don't look the erratic, emotional RCB that we've seen in the past. When things are going well, they're going unbelievably well, and it's like a freight train. And when it's not, you almost feel as though there's a real tenseness and tightness around the group. So now that's...
I mean, the emotion extends to the ground. Like, you could see how pin drop and nervous the Chinnaswamy
it
gets.
extends to the people around here as well. People who are RCB supporters, they're all on edge watching the game. It's brilliant.
The one to your right as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was tensed. Wanted RCB to win.
Yeah, I'm sure. Brilliant. I have a few more things to pick up, but I want to quickly mention Riyan Parag's post-match comments here, where he said, we thought it's actually a 220, 230 game, so we had done well to keep them down by 15, 20 runs. But I was going to have a completely different tone of the first innings, where I said, where I was going to come to you guys and whether RCB did the heavy lifting in the first innings and got a good above par score when it looked like it was more challenging batting in the first innings.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought it's above par. I thought par was around 180, 190.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think they got 15 runs more than par.
And they win by 15.
Yeah, I mean, they won by 11 today. So that's what Parag says. I thought it's a 210, 220 wicket, and we held them back really well. That's one side of it. I think he's been fairly honest about after that. He said at the halfway mark, we were in the driving seat. I'm guessing in the second innings at the halfway point. We have ourselves to blame, didn't show enough intent against the spinners and didn't execute well. Spoken about situations like this, and we just couldn't execute it tonight. We were in the driving seat and we let it slip. We got to play for pride now. Oh, are they already out mathematically even?
I don't think mathematically, but for practical purposes, I don't think. I mean, no team has qualified with 14 since the 10 teams, right? So
I thought they qualified with 14 last year, didn't they?
Oh yeah, but it's. I mean, you need a lot of results to go your way, and then you've got to
looks tough. Fair enough, but Kohli's also had something to say. He said the pitch wasn't as flat as the score makes it look. So that's the other side of a batter who batted 70% of that innings. Dew made the ball come on nicely in the second half. Credit to Rajasthan for coming out and playing some good shots. Pushed us back straight away, but to claw ourselves back into the game and get those 2 points is great. That seems like a more accurate assessment of conditions today.
Absolutely. I mean, he nailed it. I mean, first innings was not easy to bat.
No.
And I thought 204 or 5 was a superb score on that surface.
We touched upon it in the halftime show, but it's got to come back to it now that RCB, really kudos to them for losing another toss, and they would have thought, gosh, when are we going to get to chase at the Chinnaswamy? And then Archer gets a few flying. I'm sure there are a few in the dugout going like, geez, here we go. And Phil Salt has gone, played a unique innings, which you said was still a good innings, I think, at halftime.
Absolutely, because they haven't lost a wicket in the power play.
That's a first, as Dustin said,
So, that set up the platform for others. Because the middle order, when it doesn't get exposed, it is always a good sign.
Yeah, is that a good example for even a couple of teams who aren't nailing it, like Sunrisers, who are struggling batting first, and maybe a KKR occasionally about tempo and what pace to go at, but RCB have overcome a challenge today?
Yeah, definitely. You think of Sunrisers, and they're either trying to hit every ball for 4 or 6, it seems, or they're trying to block it. That there hasn't just been that tempo shift where they go through the gears and they assess the surface. I understand you want to play a certain brand of cricket. You can try and take them on at the start, but when you assess the wicket, and experience gives you that. The faster you assess the wicket, the more chance that you've got. Then you can start to manage your innings. And like Radu said, as soon as you don't expose the middle order, that's why I say power play wickets are the most important thing in T20s. Because if you can expose a middle order against a newish ball, it's a different game. Once they get the game on their own terms, it's totally different.
Brilliant. I think this is going to be such a boost for RCB. Pick up the points at home. They have a lot of home games still. Let's take some viewer comments and questions, please. Anil says, how many of us actually believed RR will get the job done even after they were 99 for 2 in 8 overs? I think he points us to their lack of closing a game out after being in a winning position. Or is that just symptomatic of previous results? They're carrying some baggage?
Of course, and also the lack of experience in terms of chasing the targets down. And it doesn't come in a day or two. You have to, experience has to come over a period of time. And also, as we mentioned, they're not staying low in terms of hitting Yorkers. They have to stay a lot lower than what they are at the moment.
Yeah, but that's also the thing about having 205 on the board, that even if you get to, even if you're going at 11 or 12 and over in the first 8, you have to sustain it, and the bowling team does have that little bit of leeway because they've got such a big score. And that's why I think you're right, that they got a score that was about 10-15 over power. And then And then even though RR were going quite well, they still had a few runs to play with.
It's interesting that Parag's comments are we should have shown more intent against the spin.
He tried first ball. He got out hitting one straight
Correct.
up in the air.
That's the whole.
Maybe a bit more game smarts instead of just worrying about hitting sixes.
Yeah, there was one on that. Aklak says there's no need for Parag to go after Krunal. Get off strike, let Rana go after him. Things like that.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
That's a smart comment. Well done on that.
First ball that Krunal bowled as well.
Yeah, and it's like Jurel hit a reverse sweep of one of the spinners, so they were actually getting the odd boundary and 6 of the spinner. But again, I think the problem is the dot balls. 48 dot balls is a lot in an innings.
No, that's why you wanted a left-hander in there when you have a leg spinner and a left-arm spinner. Jurel also has taken a lot of time
To get going.
Yeah, to get going before he actually.
All
hit
the
those
point of
sixes.
yours for Hetty to come in
Yeah,
ahead of him at that
yeah.
stage.
So that would have been 2 left-handers, which then would have changed the plans, no doubt, of RCB.
Correct.
They would have had to go back to Hazlewood earlier.
Or Shepherd.
Or Shepherd, yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't have Livingston today,
Correct.
so they don't have the off-spin option or the ball turning away. Or Suyash bowls lots of googlies,
Yeah, but still.
but you're
I mean,
still saying that's the better matchup at that point to play. All right, interesting. There's one on Jaiswal, interestingly. I thought he played a superb innings today to start them off. That's the Jaiswal we want to see. But they're saying that Jaiswal, it was a rookie mistake to try and go after Hazlewood after hitting a couple of boundaries. Should also use your cricket smarts there and see him out.
Yeah, it's catch-22, isn't it? Because you want to play an aggressive brand. He's setting the tone. He's off to a flyer. Your eyes start spinning. Your heart rate goes through the roof. You want to keep going. He's got a great record against Josh Hazlewood.
Yeah, he does.
He strikes at over 260.
250 strike rate,
And he got 26 off 11 of
there
him
we go.
today.
There we go.
So,
3 dismissals, 4 innings, 250 strike rate.
Yeah, I mean, 81 off 32.
He backs himself.
Back yourself.
Yeah.
That's the role. When you're away, you can break the back of the game so early in that situation, and the odds were in his favour.
And also when you don't have experience, you always tend to try and maximize those last 1 or 2 balls of the power play. I think you're better served when you don't lose a wicket then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, new batsman walking in, with the whole field spread out. It's not an easy proposition.
Manu says when there are 2 left-handers, Hazlewood surely should be opening along with Bhuvi, and not this breakup of how Dustin's put out what they've done. I think since the RCB game, since Dayal took the new ball at the Wankhede to Rohit, they've stuck with that.
I think the only game since Bhuvi's come in where Hazlewood opened the bowling was against CSK, and he did take 2 wickets in the second over. But since then, I mean, the logic is that usually the first 2 or 3 overs of the power play are a little bit easier, right, in terms of run scoring. The back end of the power play, at least statistically, I don't know, I've never bowled in the power play, but statistically, the 4th, 5th, and 6th over tend to be higher scoring, which is why you often give the Bumrahs and the Hazlewoods those overs.
You could have ended that sentence with "I've never bowled" rather than "I've never bowled in the power play." But yeah, you and me both, Dustin. Very good though. This is an interesting one. Anita asks, did the ball replacement have a say in the match? Is it giving more of? Well, the question is it giving advantage to one side? But I think we've opined here that's been a great change. It's giving those teams bowling seconds something.
Yeah, the opportunity for reverse swing. I like it. It evens up the game a little bit more. It's not just the ability.
Sorry, but did we see it tonight? Reverse?
I don't think there was any reverse tonight.
Because there was some dew.
Yeah.
But even a change of ball, a slightly drier ball, does help.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
guessing.
I mean,
Yeah.
At least for a few balls.
Yeah, but it's only a few balls. As soon as it gets into the outfield, the spray starts coming up. It gets wet anyway. So I like the rule personally.
Kolotumani says, once again, there's a stark difference in the pitch, first innings and second innings. RR, given how they've been this season, found a way to lose. But batting first is usually disadvantageous, and this is a concern for the league going forward. That's an interesting one. Whether other teams will be expected to play such an exceptional game, batting first, and as we go to the business end of the season, is that a concern now?
Yeah, of course, it's a concern. I mean, it's still a concern because we have seen the match in Hyderabad where it was quite slow at the start and became better. And we are seeing this at Chinnaswamy, and the playoffs are at Hyderabad and Kolkata. So I think the toss really is deciding a lot of things in the game.
But you can't do anything about dew, can you?
Yeah.
Like the dew coming in.
The thing is that it's, I guess, playing in the minds of a lot of batting first teams saying we've got to go even harder, and that is now more bust than it is boom. That's all I can think of, that they're thinking dew is now going to come in. We're entering to it the 3rd week of April, and it's going to play a part more often than not.
I think it was 25 wins out of 40 for the team winning the toss before this game. And today, of course, the team's lost. So that's not too far skewed, is it? 25 out of 40 I mean, you would kind of think that would be regular for teams winning the toss.
I mean, I know at around match 30 or so, I brought up the numbers.
This year.
Yeah,
But this year the dew only started coming
right.
recently.
You'd have to look at the last few games. Yeah.
The initial part of the IPL, there was no dew.
Right.
I mean, I'm just pointing out that at the halfway point at about match 34, 33, we were at a half and half of batting first, batting second. Now that's numbers starting to get a little skewed. So we're now on match 42 and I think we've got 16 or 17 wins batting first. And the numbers picking up just in the last 10 days or so. Now it's a significant advantage to teams chasing just with how the league is going. It could also be reflective on who's in form and what kind of teams are playing what teams.
Without knowing the numbers, but I would expect that would be a similar trend over the history of just T20 cricket in general, let alone the IPL.
Yeah.
Well, particularly in Asia, where the dew does come in heavier than most other parts in the world.
I think it's pretty fair to say that we're seeing the better teams still in the top four.
Yeah.
It's not like it's causing some erratic, So fair enough. There you go. Babar Katoch says, I think Rahul Dravid is writing the homework of Vaibhav Suryavanshi in his notebook. There's a lot of writing good all
What was that name again?
Babar Katoch. Yeah. Would you like to see it?
Not your...
I had a similar joke, but it came through in the comment. Maybe me and Babar think alike, but Babar Katoch think alike. Yeah.
No, he has to give a lot of homework to a lot of RR players.
Oh gosh, I mean it's never fun to laugh at teams not doing well, but gosh, it's like the season has, as Parag says, we're playing for pride now. I mean we can go to that. It's done effectively for them. For all practical purposes, the playoffs seem way too far. We just confirmed where they are on the points table after that loss. Another one for the Royals. They could have won 3 out of their last 4 games in chases, but now they find themselves at 4 points in 9 games. So both, one of Hyderabad or Chennai can go ahead of them tomorrow. So who knows, could be a very, very disappointing season for RR, but is it a fair reflection of the squad?
I think so. I mean, in the auction you have not picked up any experienced players and also no all-rounders. So I think they have to go back to their drawing board and do a proper auction next time.
It's hard because 150 of the best players in the world are already taken up on lists. So.
Yeah, I mean, Matt brought up the point of the retention strategy being heavily batter-centric, including that of Hetmeyer, which was done pretty late, Jurel at 14 crore, and you left yourself with very little options to get strong
and
bowling.
left yourself without Joss Butler too.
Exactly.
That's the biggie, isn't it?
One of the best players in the world. That was a strange one. A little bit like when SRH let Rashid Khan go.
And also
few years ago when
Tom Moody says it's not us that let him go.
I think you have let Chahal go as well.
Yeah.
Chahal, Bolt, R. Ashwin, there's a lot of them at least who forged a good bowling lineup. But I mean,
you can't keep everyone, I understand.
I
that.
know it's a really unfair thing to say, but imagine Butler in this chase today. Just Butler in chases and the beast he becomes.
But do you not think that somebody like Jurel in a year or two can? I mean, I don't know if he'll
But
be
there's
Joss
another
Butler,
auction
but
in a year or two.
No, I don't mind that conversation because I think we've had fairly critical.
Jurel is amazing. I mean,
We've had
but you cannot have 6 youngsters.
But Raidu, I think what I'm gathering is that, let's say for CSK for that matter, a number of their auction retentions are players that you're not sure are 3-year players. However, for RR, you're looking at potentially 4 India regulars in the next 5-6 years. Maybe this year won't go their way, but Parag, you can understand why you would retain him after last year. Jaiswal is one of these stars, of the team. So Jurel's the quick one and Samson. So then you throw in Hetmeyer, I guess they wanted to just secure some kind of core.
No, but also Hetmeyer's gone for 11 crores. You don't know if those other players would have accepted 11 crores. So, I mean, we don't know if it was Hetmeyer over Butler.
While Matt and while a lot of analysts have said they got it terribly wrong at the auction table, could it be just they paid the price this year? They can reinforce bowling.
Yeah, maybe. But
what if a guy or two gets injured? I mean, you can always have these dynamics. It doesn't work out that way. When you have an auction, you pick a team to win the IPL that year.
Yeah, and the reality is that you're not getting Bumrah in the auction. You're not getting Jofra Archer. Like if you're another team looking at Archer, you're not getting access to him. You're not getting Hazlewood or these guys that can consistently bowl your team to victory. So you have to be really smart and buy heavy for players that win your matches in the mega auctions.
Okay, quickly, I'll just take a few more comments before we wrap things up. Ramakrishna
Cameron
says...
Green will be in the auction next year, though.
Cameron Green, yep. Overs 11 to 15 cost RR 3 games in a row now. That's interesting. Yep, the chase has gone wrong. Parth says, very unlike RCB, this win. Because you expect them to lose this kind of game more often than not at the Chinnaswamy. So I wonder what this does for their overall confidence for a team that's anyway got plenty going for them on the road. This kind of win right now would set them up for a playoff, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're playing the best cricket that I've ever seen them play, because they look so balanced and they look very, very calm on the ground.
There was the game.
They didn't even panic when that over of Bhuvi went for 22 runs. So that says a lot.
Same thing against MI at Wankhede, right? Where that Hardik suddenly started to go hard, but they kept their cool and they ended up closing that game out too. So it's not the first time that they've done that.
RGK challenges that point, and I think it's a fair one. He says it's not a fair reflection, Raunak. With the batting lineup of Jaiswal, Samson, Parag, Hetmeyer and Jurel, the batting should be winning you more games. So forget everything else, but the batting should be winning, which I take. Even though they're young, they still have IPL experience in them.
Yeah, and Samson out's a big out. He's a captain of your side. It just gives you a little bit more calmness and a bit more confidence in the group that you can get it done under pressure. A guy's been there and done it plenty of times before. So he's a huge out as well. And then the captaincy falls on Riyan Parag, who's doing it for... Well, he's only done it a handful of times, and it looks as though that's weighing on him slightly as well.
There were actually a few comments earlier about the captaincy choice, whether that was just, it happened in such a way that we didn't scrutinize it too much because we thought it's temporary. But is Parag actually their best candidate for captain? His own form seems to have suffered. He's still young. Nitish Rana is the only other IPL captain with experience in that team. But is that an understated point of they should have gone to somebody with a little more experience, and I'll let Parag be one of the players who plays freely?
I mean, in hindsight, you can always say that it should have been an experienced campaigner, but where are the experienced campaigners in their side except Hetmeyer? There are not many. I mean, maybe you could have looked at Dhruv Jurel because he's keeping, he can get the angles right, but most of the planning...
young option, yeah. There were some comments here saying, what about Jaiswal as a captain?
Yeah, of course. I mean, even that would have been good.
So I would just let the youngster bat.
Yeah.
He's such a superstar.
Which one? There are so many.
Yeah, I know. Jaiswal.
Parag. Jaiswal, you're saying let him bat.
Both of them. I think in that situation, if you look at the history of the captaincy transition, well, the recent history, you think Gaikwad at CSK, he still had Dhoni there as well, so he can learn off Dhoni in the pressure environment. If he's ever unsure, he's got the master to go to.
Yeah. I think that balance is there. Akshar Patel still has KL Rahul.
Exactly.
No, Akshar Patel is extremely experienced. He's been sitting out
but as a new captain.
Since the time I was there. So he's been there and thereabouts for a very, very long time.
Yeah, well,
but Parag has captained his state quite a bit, right? So that's why he was picked ahead of Jaiswal.
That's so different. That's so different.
I know, but I'm just talking about
game.
the other options. Jaiswal, I think, had very little captaincy experience, if any. Nitish Rana had not played for Rajasthan.
But Rana has captained KKR, if I'm...
Rana has.
But he's not played, I mean, he hadn't played for Rajasthan before, so
there's
I don't know
also
whether
the
that's
familiarity of the franchise.
Yeah.
Parag's been the face of the franchise for many years.
He hasn't done a poor job by any stretch.
Sure, okay,
I mean,
fair enough.
I think it's harsh to put any of the blame on him. It's just reality that he's dropped a couple of catches, and it looks as though the way he was batting tonight, it was batting like he was angry. He was trying to get after it every ball. So,
I mean,
I think we're being a bit harsh on RR, not to disagree with Matt, but there's been 3 chases which they should have completed.
You can disagree with me.
No, I'm just saying that. I mean,
you are disagreeing.
But I mean, they could have been. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's not necessarily the squad building.
I know. We all love RR. We all love the way they play their cricket. They're all the good boys of the IPL. But end of the day, you have to win.
Well,
I'm just saying I don't think it's necessarily the squad building. It's 3 games where they've just fallen short in the chase because
they've fallen short for the last 17 years. I mean, these are the facts.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure your stats also will say the same thing.
You're focusing on the team that's not won it for 17 years on this show today.
because the team that has not done.
Just winding you up.
Winding
you up, Radu. Just
one more year.
Ujjwal is saying Hasaranga has captained Sri Lanka. Why not him? Well, anyway, I think it's going on now for a while. But we've seen a great first captain in the opposite side today. Patidar, we've said, is impressed. So it's not like it's not possible to get into it.
It's not only the results, but the way he's been conducting himself, his demeanor.
Okay, just quickly, I think
a lot more to captaincy.
We're enjoying this, like we don't have anywhere to go after this. But there's one which says, where is the X Factor, saying, that's the name of the account. He's saying, guys, you guys are discussing the world, it's simply a finisher problem. They get finishers. There's one more, I think, a little while back, saying they need a player who can take control of a chase. That's what
we're looking at. That's the experience.
Yeah.
That's the experience coming right into it there.
But not only one guy, you need 2 or 3 guys doing that generally. I mean,
Awesome. Okay, that was fun, I must say. A good close game gives us so much to talk about. That's what I like. So I'm glad we got that today. Josh Hazlewood's been confirmed player of the match. Easy as you like. Brilliant. He's top of our Cricket 4 MVP as well in terms of impact. So Josh Hazlewood, really, really well done. It's time for the rapid fire review. And you know how this works, gentlemen. Quick fire summations of the evening. Let's go. Finchy, you can start us off. Always a power play and middle overs gun, but what is Josh Hazlewood doing right at the death?
He's just executing. He's remaining calm under pressure.
All right. Rayudu, 3 chases bottled in a row. Is it a mentality thing or are Rajasthan lacking in skill?
I think a bit of both and definitely lacking experience.
All right. Dustin, you can take the 73 in the 5 overs between 11 to 15 in the first innings. How vital was that acceleration from Padikkal and Kohli in the eventual outcome of the game?
It was probably the difference because that's the same phase where Royals were slow.
Okay, back to you, Rayudu. What does Krunal get right versus left-handers compared to other slow left-arm spinners?
I think his variation of pace and also the length, and he predicts the batsman quite well.
Okay, Finchy, back to you. Stark, Avesh and Hazlewood. But rank these death over specials against RR or death over specials that you've seen off late.
I didn't see the Avesh over, so it's hard to comment on that. So I'll put him third behind the 2 Aussies. Stark 1, Hazlewood 2.
Okay, and all of you can chip in on this. 6 wins out of 9. Finally a win at home in the bag. RCB, are they looking good for the playoffs now? Finchy.
Yeah, they are because they've got momentum. They've got the monkey off their back about the home wins. If they get some luck with the tosses, they'll be tough to beat.
Ambati?
I think they should be eyeing 1 or 2 because that should be where they should be focused now if they have to really look at winning this IPL.
Yeah, I think definitely for the playoffs.
Okay, I can tell you that if they want 1 or 2, they've got to play some of the teams above them and their next game is at Delhi against the Capitals. What a big one that promises to be. I think, Finchy, you're going to be at that.
I'll be there,
one.
yeah.
Make sure you give us a good one, mate. Yeah. And then, of course, there's the classic, the RCB CSK at the Chinnaswamy. Surely not this time. Surely RCB will
That's
prevail.
like the El Clasico, isn't it?
That's a different southern derby.
No, this is a fans El Clasico. I don't think cricketing wise there is not much rivalry there, but definitely RCB are looking much better.
I mean, if CSK, I don't know what's more dangerous right now, whether CSK are still fighting for their lives or CSK have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose CSK, a smiling CSK
Dangerous.
are very, very dangerous.
Oh gosh, okay. As far, I can tell you they also have Lucknow to play, one looking good. So you can actually pick up some, you can think that, oh, these are points we can take. But they finish with 2 home games, SRH and KKR. Again, 2 teams that you're not quite sure if they're in the playoffs or fighting for their lives, if they're dangerous or if they have nothing to lose.
And the SRH, you don't know what you're going to get. They scored 280 there last time, I think. And
But if RCB play to their potential, I don't think any of these teams will come close.
So it's actually a good run-in for them.
Yeah, very, very good run-in because they can really focus on their own strengths rather than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is you got 4 of those teams below you who've been below par. So Delhi is the tricky game. The rest of the games you can back them to win. Right. RR gets tough. Gujarat Titans next. Mumbai Indians after that. Both at Jaipur. So we'll see how this season unfolds.
Doesn't get easier.
Doesn't. The IPL is not supposed to be easy. Thank you very much, Aaron Finch, Ambati Rayudu, Dustin. Always a pleasure hearing your thoughts. I think Finchy's back with us tomorrow. You're back with us tomorrow. Rayudu, CSK, SRH. Give us a prediction on your way out. You're not going to be with us tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are.
They're close to your heart.
Yeah, they're close to the bottom of the table, but I mean, they are at the bottom of the table. So I feel CSK will just climb up a ladder.
You're a good man. You're focusing on the bottom of the table, not the bottom of your heart. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. And thank you for your participation in what was a really eventful game. We enjoyed that. Tomorrow, the Sunrisers and the Super Kings at the Chepauk, fighting for their lives. You sense, built up to that just before the toss. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Good night.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.